3.
She got a free trip to France.
Well, good evening and welcome to, I was getting ready to say Friday Night Blitz, but it's
Blitz.
actually Main Street Sports tonight. Because we haven't done it in a long time here, so Ray Halbrook here from Live Stream STL. Let me throw it up here real quick. Main Street Sports. We are excited. We've been sitting here talking for quite a bit. But before I get rolling here, I wanted to let everybody know we are live from Case and Bucks Grub and Pub. We want to thank Jeff Fitter over at Case and Bucks for allowing us to be a part of today and allowing us to have this this time here to take care of our football preview that we have going on here. And I'm going to introduce our crack team here. On the left, Jeff Whitener. On the right, Matthew Bates. Gentlemen, how are you?
Our esteemed panel.
Our esteemed panel, our esteemed colleagues, you know. So we are going to seriously roll through this very quickly. And we've got 11 teams that we're covering. Did you say?
Oh, we're good.
Like this. Okay, I'm sorry. We're talking like this now. And by the way, Jeff Whitener's wife is behind me. So she might be throwing some. She might be throwing some John 3:16s, or these guys are awful,
or some
whatever.
French
you know.
fries.
Hopefully
at
no
you.
obscene gestures.
No obscene gestures.
Ray's going to get a chicken tender to the back of the head.
I don't like that prediction.
Or one of the best
Right.
wings in town.
There you go.
Quite
There you
possibly. Thank you, Jeff, for the accommodations tonight. So,
Yes,
yeah, Case
absolutely.
and Bucks.
So let's get started right away.
Let's
We're
do it.
going to get things rolling. We're going to roll. We went out and we took care of you guys. We did. I felt like doing it a little differently this year. We normally have the coaches in. This year we went to them. I'm sure they're extremely appreciative of that because, hey, you know, we got a 5-minute sound bite from them and, you know, some B-roll for the preview. So,
And then, like any of the coaches would tell you, Ray, you know, they're in their element.
Yep.
You know, putting them here at a table,
Yep.
it's like
right.
on the field with the mic, man on the street, interview stuff, great stuff. So
I get it. Here we go. So we're going to kick things off with the Northwest Lions. All right, we're here with Coach Scott Gerling from the Northwest Lions. Coach, how's been camp going?
It's going pretty good. As we were just talking about, we have about 75, 80, 85 kids out right now. We have a couple that are a little straggling with some paperwork and stuff like that, but we've got a good number of kids out. We're going to be young, but the kids we have that are here are flying around. They're doing things right. It's one of the probably best group of young men that we've had, at least here in a while. Now, we'll see how it works out on the field, but they're putting in the work. They're putting in the time. We've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know that it'll get done this school year, but we're putting a new weight room in, new weight room addition on the school up there. We're always trying to get better with the program when it comes to just, you know, different equipments and upgrades and stuff like that. So there's a lot of fun stuff like that that's going on. There's a lot of excitement with the kids. They're happy to be here. They like being around each other, you know, for the most part, and I think it shows in their interactions and when they're out here on the field, and sometimes we have to run them off. So there's new stuff there. We got some wrinkles on offense, got some wrinkles on defense all the time, so the kids are adjusting to it, having a good time, and really receptive to what we're trying to do. It's a tough one. Like I said, we're young. We have about 7 seniors total, which is we had about 17, 18 last year, so that's quite a bit fewer than what we've been used to around here. So we've got a lot of young kids, juniors and sophomores that are going to play on Friday night, and it is a matter of maturing. Now, I will say it's easier, but I think our defense is a little bit farther along right now. But the kids who are doing the offensive stuff we're asking them to have been involved and invested for the most part for over 2-3+ years now. So they're really picking up what we're trying to do as well. But there's a lot of moving pieces over there. So we'll see. But I expect our defense to be very solid early. And if we can make some plays on the offensive side and find some consistency, we'll be okay there too. Wes Knuckles he's going to be a 3-year starter for us at receiver, and he plays defensive back as well. And he's really developed over the last couple of years in the weight room, on the field, all of that stuff. We got another returning linebacker, running back, Drew Spratt, who's been an absolute warrior in the weight room, and once again, kind of was thrown into the fire as a sophomore. He's a junior now, and we're expecting big things out of Drew, both as a leader and as a player, making plays. Similar, Adam Banks, who played a lot of time for us as a sophomore last year, and he's an outside linebacker, kind of a Swiss Army knife of sorts on offense. He plays about 2 or 3 different spots for us because he's a smart football player and can move around and pays attention and all that. As when I took the job, and I know it's not one of those measurables and the number of wins and stuff like that, I told him that we want to make sure that when these kids graduate and leave our program, that the community's proud of them, whether it's on the field, in the classroom, really as just as young men. And I think we took strides towards that with our senior class this year.
Come back.
Coming to me first, right?
All right, we're coming to you here, Jeffrey Whitener. What do we know about the Northwest Lions?
Well, we know that they reside in House Spring, Missouri. We know that they were 1-9 last year. We know that Coach Gerling gives an excellent interview, a great job with that interview. Questions there by Coach. That's how you do it, sir. And also want to give a shout out to Ray real quick for great interviews and editing on these previews for us. Now, the Lions lost 21 players to graduation last year, but they've got very large numbers. As Coach says, they've got a solid core of sophomores and juniors. They lost about 5 all-district players last year, including their quarterback, Nick Youngkins, and both their starting running backs. They retain all-district wide receiver Wes Knuckles, our favorite name in
Wes
local
Knuckles.
sports. So plugging the backfield will be junior running back Drew Spratt. He should get quite a few carries for the Lions this year. Now, the quarterback position been a little bit of a competition between senior Cooper Veland and sophomore Cohen Stark. It looks like Veland will probably take over based on his experience there, but don't be surprised if Stark doesn't get some snaps under center these first few games. And, of course, they kick off Thursday night, guys, at Sullivan for a Thursday night game. So we'll see who gets the most snaps under center for the Lions. But good luck to them this year in improving on last year's record, Matt.
And again, that's one of the things I have written already is, you can only improve. This is a proud Class 6 school that, yes, they went 1-9. And whether you're Class 6, though, whether you're Class 4, you look at DeSoto, nobody is sending sympathy cards to any of these coaches, either at Northwest or DeSoto. So, whatever lemons you have, you got to figure out how to make that lemonade with it. And you got to work finding a bright spot. So what I would do, like on the dry erase board, boom, we went 1-1 in our last 2 games. Look at the bigger picture. We went 1-9. Let's focus on the smaller things, which was our last 2 games we played. We went 1-1. Take the record off the table now. Let's build on that. Can we improve? Because, to your point, with 21 seniors graduating, and you'll hear this from a lot of the other coaches too, that you've got this cycle that you kind of have to get in front of that curve on, because now you only have 7 seniors this year.
Exactly.
So, your Wes Knuckles, and you can count them on a hand and 2 fingers where your leadership group's going to come from. But now it's more incumbent on your sophomores and on those juniors coming through to see how we can also maybe help with that leadership role as well, too. Because, yes, you've got a Thursday night game. You come right back. You're at Melville for week 2. And then at week 3, your home opener is against Seckman, who we will roll into right now as Mr. Hallbrook has Coach Nick Bear lined up and ready to go for us.
Did you just do a segue?
I did.
It was
Holy moly.
Perfection.
Wow. How about that? There you go. Seckman Jaguars. Here we go. We are catching up here with Coach Nick Bear here virtually. How's it going, Coach?
Good. Trying to stay cool inside here.
It is getting warm again, and just wanted to catch up and ask you how camp went.
Yeah, we had a really good summer, and the 2 weeks leading up to Dead Week were our camp. Boys are very focused, on our goals and what we need to do to accomplish them this year. Coming up first is Parkway West Week 1. We've had a lot of success the last 3 years, really establishing a standard and for how we go about our business. So, at our core, we're going to do what we do, and we are who we are. But, when you look at our offense, very run-heavy offense, every year we're trying to add a few more wrinkles, a few more opportunities to get the ball out in the air and on the perimeter. So we're hoping to be able to do some of that this year. Our defense had a very solid season last year. You know, up into the Jackson game, you know, allowing I think maybe less than 10 points a game, 12 points a game. So, you know, very consistent effort there, and the expectations are the same. You know, we've got 8 guys returning who started a game for us last year on the defense. So those guys, you know, they know the standard, they know what it looks like, and now they got to go out and execute.
Excellent.
You know, our on offensively, you know, the goal is to protect the football and move it down the field, suck the clock out, and put it in the end zone. A guy who you know, didn't touch the ball, had too many carries for us last year, but really having a good camp first couple weeks of practice is Ben Lewis. You know, we have 2 senior backs in our backfield with Brady Ambrose and Ben Lewis. They really are kind of have very different styles. Brady's much more of a downhill runner, you know, straight line, one cut and go. Going to run through a lot of arm tackles for sure this year. And Ben's a little shiftier. He's a little shorter, get behind them linemen, and read that block and find that gap. So I think you know, both of those guys will be able to keep defenses on their toes. You know, we sit down with I sit down with the seniors every off season, and we talk about, you know, what we want to accomplish this year. You know, number one, you know, being that first week 1 matchup. You can't win the first, you know, can't complete a lot of these goals without winning that first one. So Parkway West, number 1 on the docket. And then this year we happen to have Fox week 2. So that's always a big goal for us to make sure we beat Fox. We've been able to do that the last 3 years in a row. So we want to continue on with that, as well as, you know, win a conference championship. You know, we've won the last 3 in the Suburban Orange. We want to continue that streak going with 4 this year. And, you know, the big one on the big one in everybody's sights, the one that we keep harping on is a district championship. You know, last year was our second visit to the game, to a district championship game. We learned a lot from it. And, you know, we've worked on a lot of stuff this offseason to kind of really close that gap with some of the teams that are normally in our district. And that's definitely the end-all, be-all is getting to that district championship.
Matt Bates, we're going to bring it over to you there, and you've got a little bit of an update for Seckman.
Yes, coming in 10-1, again, another Class 6 school, and just basically when you take and you flip the script from one program to the other, you see the other dynamic that the Seckman Jaguars bring to the table. I gotta say right now, Coach Bear, I'm sure is quite happy to not see Valley Catholic for another year to start off week 1, because a game like that, and you know, you don't want to diminish it because it is like a Class 2 school, right. But they're anything but that, and they're definitely going to expose, like in week 1, they're going to show a lot of things that you want to, like maybe week 3, week 4, hey, maybe somebody, right. But so this year, you know, starting at Parkway West, that's great. You know, week 2 they got Fox, and then week 3, you know, the contest against Northwest, but last year, the only loss was to Jackson in that district classic District 1 championship game. Was down there for that. They're going to have their hands full if they want to get back to that spot again. And losing Dean Meckel, the Minister of Defense, lineman Trent Enlow, and the big one, like the white elephant in the room, Cole Rubel, losing him. But you also look at the history. The last 8 years, you had 2 quarterbacks. You had a Tommy Gabar and you had a Cole Rubel. Now, that was basically like just taking 2 shells and just shuffling them around with what they brought to the table.
Exactly.
Now you've got big pieces, and that's one big piece that you got to fill now. Now, it's not like you got to figure out how to make the most of that quarterback position now, because you've had a while now to look at maybe depth along the way, and now you're going to have to see Nick Bear really have to bear down, no pun intended, on how that quarterback position's treated now, because, you know, I mean, you want to look for Brady Ambrose, what he can do, Ben Lewis, Joe Burok, but I think that quarterback position at a school of this magnitude, if they're looking to get to where or beyond where they were last year, is going to be a crucial piece.
Well, especially in the Seckman offense, Matt, when you've got a quarterback who does a majority of the running himself, you know, whether it's just a simple single wing draw play up the middle, or, you know, a delayed draw. That's a vital part has been a vital part of the Jaguar offense. So you need a quarterback who's got a good set of wheels on him. So, as you mentioned, Ambrose, pretty steady factor in the back route and in the backfield. But yeah, the quarterback position is going to be crucial to the success of this team this year. I also want to mention they return all-district player, one of the best kickers in the league area, Connor Day, and then also defensive end. Another great name, Law Newman.
There you
go.
For the Jaguars.
Very
So,
nice.
Hello,
Very nice.
Newman.
exactly. And
Yes.
at some point in the year, they're going to probably have to face the Eureka Wildcats, right?
Yes, and we have the Eureka Wildcats up next. Catching up here with Coach Jake Sumner from the Eureka Wildcats. Coach, how has camp been this season?
Oh, it's been a great start to the year. We every year we're so fortunate to have some great young men that carry our tradition around here, and it's been no different. 4 days in, so pretty happy with where we're going, and just got to keep it up. Every year when you get all the personnel together and offense, defense, special teams, it's our job as a staff to kind of see what works best for what kids we have. And, that's kind of what we'll do again this season. And that's a little bit of the only changes will be what we have on our roster. We've got some great kids returning on both sides of the ball. And, it's a team game. So it's a three-phase game, and that's something we talk about. And our style to be determined how it's going to look this season. But, I think we're going to be pretty balanced. We've got some key pieces on both, and just be exciting to kind of see how all three of those phases come together. Oh gosh, there's a lot of surprises. Obviously, our best surprises is how our seniors grow up, and I can speak about all of them individually, but as a group, we've just had our seniors really rise up, take the leadership role on, and we're kind of leaning on these upperclassmen to grow into roles, and all those guys have. Yeah, our goal is to be the best we can in the week that we're in, and be in camp week 1. That's the goal. Get better than you were yesterday, and that's just kind of how we approach the entire season. And obviously, we got big dreams like every other team setting out here in camp, but we're just trying to get better every single day, and our schedule is going to be a good test for us to be better every day, and that's what we look forward to.
Well, Jeffrey Whitener, you got the Eureka Wildcats. What do we know about Eureka?
Well, we know that we are very pleased and couldn't be happier to be really focusing on the Eureka Wildcats this year as one of our key games and key sponsors. And Ray, you did a lot of work behind the scenes to make that happen. But so we are very, very happy to welcome Eureka on board for a full complement of games, home games this season.
Thank you, Eureka.
We're looking very, very much forward to that. Eureka, 8-5 record last year, so they reside in the Suburban Conference Yellow area. They lost to Cape Central in the Class 5 state quarterfinals. They also lost 25 players to graduation, including offensive lineman Drew Swingle. He's now at Lindenwood. Alan Brown III, Eastern Illinois. Defensive back Adrian Cruz, Illinois State. However, they return some very good players, including Mizzou commit offensive lineman Jack Lang, senior quarterback and prospect Casey Holbeman. I think he's one of the bright spots for quarterback in the area. Leading rusher Trevor Kodak's going to be back, and he's going to play an even bigger role this season, I'm sure, for the Wildcats. Now, I'm counting, Matt, on them to have a pretty dynamic offense, but they've got some holes on defense that they need to plug this year, and we'll have to see how Coach handles that. Eureka starts this season at Francis Howell, also another Thursday night game.
And then they're home from Marquette, Hazelwood Central. Then they got that Week 4 matchup at Fox. But when we look at some of the losses and some of the key losses that you talk about on that defense, you lose Ryan Thornhill, you lose Trey Haneke, both young men, over 100-plus tackles. That's not two guys adding up to 100. That's two guys adding up to 200 or more.
Right.
And so that's why I say when you have coaches now, everybody can see your film now. It's not like you can really hide a lot from anybody anymore, that somebody somewhere has got film on you. And if I can figure out where I had Haneke plugged in at, where I had Thornhill at, now how can I move around that? Because I know you've got to fill that with somebody, and you just don't have 100-plus tacklers at the drop of a hat at every program.
They don't grow on trees.
They don't, and much less having two at one program.
Right.
So you look at probably the load now going back on to, Holbeman, looking at Kodak and maybe some more Kodak moments with him, that the offense, I think, is going to be more battle-tested and have to be a little more, as we say, out on the field more so than the defense, so that way they don't get exposed maybe like Coach Sumner would not want them to be.
Exactly. And it's going to be a situation where I'm very, very interested to see how Coach handles that defense this year and finds those tackles. You know, it's not about finding maybe 2 players to replace those 2, but maybe 5 other guys that can make up for those tackles. It's about making up the number of tackles more than anything else.
Or making up a program like the Crystal City Hornets are going to have to as well, too, with a new coach in. And Mr. Hallbrook has that interview as well.
Yes, we do. Ray Halbrook here from Livestream STL. We are here with Adam Sims from Crystal City, the Crystal City Hornets, new coach this year. And we'll just ask you, how's camp this summer?
Camp this summer has been going real well. We had about 15 to 18 guys consistently. Our linemen have been the most consistent group. We had about 5 to 7 of them, and they've been putting in such, hard work. I just tried to take the mindset of when I took this position that Crystal City football has a long history of football, and it's a special place. And that was one of the things I looked at and really thought about when I took this position, was to know that I'm coming into a place that, had 99 plus years of football. And it's just, I've told the kids that our plan is, we're not looking for big 20-yard gains, 30-yard gains. We're looking for, if we get 3 or 4 yard, 5-yard gains each play, enough of those we'll have first downs. I think defensively, Coach Lowcamp and myself and Coach Hancock, we've been kind of talking about it, but I look for some special things and making some big plays on defense, but also with, what we just talked about with getting the ball on the ground and just running, trying to hit those gaps hard as we can. But I think defensively, we're going to be in a pretty good spot. But offensively, we've got some weapons coming back, like Nolan Eisenbeis and Ricardo and Landon Drews. So I look forward to seeing what they have to offer. And this summer they've looked pretty good. Even the line, the line's been here since day one. Hayden and Gage McPherson, those 2 on the line, they've come back to play for us again this year. I think those 2 are going to be ones to watch on the line. We have a good solid core group, and then we have some young guys to fill in around. I really just think our goals as far as what we want to accomplish is, one, just come out and work together as a team, and 2, we try to tell these guys that, coming out on a Friday night, that's fun. That's what you want to do, but also we want to teach you lessons to be great young men. So it's not only, yes, we're going to come out and play on Friday nights. Yes, we're going to work throughout the summer and work on through the week, but we really want to stress to the guys, hey, we want to set you up for life after football.
Matthew Bates, we've got the Crystal City Hornets on tap here.
Hopefully the Hornets, they're hoping not to get stung this season, as Dan Fox leaves after 2 seasons, going 16-6 with a program, Jeff, that we talked about even last year, week in, week out. That this was a program that had the paddles on them, the jaws of life. This was a program ready to sink, go into the abyss. Coach Fox brings them out. Now this year, granted, after an 8-4 season, that listening to the interview, 15, 18 players coming out is one thing. You lose Caden Bolton, you lose Raftree. One thing that's not really talked much about is your quarterback that you thought you were going to have in Cale Schamberg. He transfers to Festus. Now, in the interview, listening to him talking about how, he would be happy, getting kids running, 3-5 yards a play doesn't have to be an 80-yard play. My thing to you, Jeff, is we were just kind of bantering about that. they're going to be out on the field regardless. So whether they run one play for 80 yards or whether they run 20 plays at 3 yards a pop, the same kids are going to be out there, and then whenever they have to go to kick the ball back off, those same kids are going to be back out there again.
And to play a full football game like that and never leave the field, for those that don't understand, yes, because football is a stop-and-start game, but by the end of that game, it's not just the physical toll, it's the mental toll as well. Yes. So these kids always have the odds stacked against them. Last year with Schaumburg, Eisenbeis also played a little quarterback, and Nolan Eisenbeis is going to be a player to watch for them this year, along with Ricardo Pastrana, another important cog in the wheel. But
yes,
I'm very concerned. There's a run-heavy offense, a lot of run, so a lot of run blocking, which is easier on the offensive line. But you open the season against a Class 4 team on Friday, and even though Sikeston was 2-9 last year, that's still a tall order to go from Class 1 independent to a Class 4 program to start the season. And I'm concerned for these young men, and I'm hoping that everybody can make it through the season happy and healthy and have a good year and continue to build on what Coach Fox has built in that program.
You're exactly right, and that's a head scratcher in week 1 with him going down to Sikeston. I mean, I'm blown away by that. You got a program, again, of 15, 18 kids, and you're going down to a Class 4. Might as well be a Class 5 school in all aspects down in Sikeston. And I say that because they play big. You know that. I know that. Everybody here in the county knows that. Once you get to about the St. John County line and you go south, they grow bigger, they grow taller, they grow faster, they grow heavier. It's like Texas. Everything's just bigger south of Jefferson County.
Big old farm boys.
And you're going to send 15 of our regional guys down there to take on. And these are guys, even at this Class 4 level here, Sikeston's big enough to where you're going to have one guy playing offensive tackle, one guy playing defensive end, exactly, one guy punting, one guy kicking. The kids, and I thought you brought up a really good point, which is when I saw this game, I'm like, survive, get out healthy, because it's going to be a butt kicking. And whether it finishes 79-0 or whether it finishes 15-12, the Hornets they're going to be sucking wind after this game, and it's going to be a stepping stone for the rest of the season.
Get home safe.
That's right. Yes. There you have it. There you are. We'll be right back. We are going to start with the small schools next year. We'll be right back. This is the football preview on Main Street Sports. Hey, Ray Halbrook here with Livestream STL Media. We want to let you know Friday Night Blitz is on its way very shortly here, starting this Friday night. But we want to let you know about something after Friday Night Blitz is over with, and that is our Friday Night Blitz post-game, where we will jump back here in the studio and we will catch up with some of the coaches here post-game, and they'll be dialing in, talking to us from time to time. So we want to invite you. It'll be around 10 o'clock every Friday night, starting this Friday, and we'll have plenty of post-game interviews and after-game commentary from coaches. We'll have some of our commentators chime in with us as well. So we hope you enjoy and are able to tune in at 10 o'clock again for the Friday Night Blitz post-game show here on Livestream STL. We'll see you at 10 o'clock.
Church is more than just an hour in a pew every Sunday. It's a community. It's where you can come as you are. It's a place where you can connect with God, learn from Scripture, and grow as you build relationships. It's a place where it's okay to be a work in progress. At Faith Community, you'll find an authentic group of people who are pursuing God and supporting one another along the way as we move from where we are to where God wants us to be. Wherever you're at on your journey, you are welcome here.
And we are back here for the small schools. We're going to start with none other than the Grandview Eagles.
The Grandview.
Catching up here with Coach Jason Kiminoff from the Grandview Eagles here. Coach, how was camp this season?
It was good. You know, we had a good camp. We did a lot of good stuff. We finished the summer by going to a team camp down at Evangel University, and our kids really got a lot out of it. I think it was good. Yeah, I mean, I think we're always tinkering offense, defense, special teams, whatever, because you're trying to figure out what fits your kids and what works. You know, you don't want to make too many drastic changes by any means. You know, once our kids get comfortable with one thing, you just want to fix it, you know, and tighten it up a little bit and make it better. So I wouldn't say anything too crazy drastic in regard to changes, but, you know, just fine-tuning things. I don't know. You know, I hope defense is dominant, right? Because, you know, that makes my job easier when I worry about scoring points and all that stuff. So I'm always going to hope the defense is dominant. But, you know, obviously I hope the offense is dominant too. I'd love to sit there and up. I don't remember off the top of my head what our points per game were last year, but that number, you always want that number to keep going up. So yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a solid core here at Grandview who is very committed at, you know, getting better and bettering this program. And so those are the dudes you can count on, and we've been able to count on for the last few years. And so a lot of those are kind of our junior class. You know, Wyatt Kime, Isaac Walker, Brendan Martin, Tucker Reinhardt, to name a few. Some guys who, you know, don't miss anything. They're here every day. They're putting in work, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. And so those are the guys we're going to look at. And then it's tricky just because, and I don't like to not call out seniors there, but going from last year, we had a really big senior class to this year having a very small senior class, right? We only had 2 seniors really with us all summer, right? And Jacob Hassos is the only one who's been here, you know, for all 4 years and been here and putting in the work and didn't miss a day over the summer and all that stuff. And then, you know, you have Skylar Melton, who's coming back from an injury last year. So again, there's at the top, we have some very good guys who are hard workers and doing all the right stuff. And now the trick is just building all around them. I think for us, it's always trying to be better than we were last year, right? And that's been tricky because, you know, a few years ago, you know, we had a very solid senior group, and that helped us have a very successful season, and that would have been in 2021, right? And then there was kind of this fall off in the sense of now all of a sudden you graduated almost 20 seniors. And that's really hard at a small school to sit there and replicate that success when you have such a big senior class, right? And so we've gone through these cycles of small classes. You know, we went 2 seniors my first year as a head coach, to last year we had about 12 or 13 or 15, it was up to 15. And then this year we're back down to 2 or 3. And so it's this vicious cycle that's really hurting us here at Grandview right now. And so for us, it's just worrying about us and not worrying about other opponents and saying, hey, we got to beat so-and-so, we got to do this. It's hey, we got to be better than we were last year. Because I think we look at it and we say we can be just as competitive in this conference as anybody else. And so for us, it's like take care of business week to week and let all that stuff take care of itself.
Jeff Whitener, you have the Grandview Eagles.
I do indeed, Ray. Thank you. Record of 3-7 last year, hoping to build on that. They lost to Lift for Life in the first round of the Class 2 District 1 playoffs. Didn't everybody? The Eagles lost 14 players to graduation, including standout Nash Moore. Nash Moore is one of those guys who was a hammer both on offense and defense for the Eagles, and that's going to be a big hole to fill. Now, they do have returning Brendan Martin at quarterback and receiver Wyatt Kime, and I expect both of those guys to have big seasons and play big roles again for the Eagles. They're a part of a strong junior class, but there's only a couple of seniors on this whole roster for the team. You know, they're, like Coach said, they're in that cycle right now, and that cycle came from the 1 year that they did not have a varsity schedule, and that kind of threw that cycle off a little bit that we talk about, you know, graduating players and coming up and things of that nature. Anyway, Grandview opens their season against Chaffee 5-5 this Friday at home, and this is a game that is winnable for the Eagles. They also have a new turf. Let's see if they get a little bounce off of that. From that, no pun intended. But this is the 3rd season now for Coach Kimenow, and it'll be interesting to see how he approaches this year and trying to find a replacement for Nash Moore and what he brought to the program, Matt.
Well, it's going to have to start up front, and a returning lineman on both sides, and Tucker Reinhardt is going to be the answer to hopefully shedding some of that responsibility. You also have Isaac Walker returning as well, too. Was able to see them a couple times last year. And I got to tell you right now, probably as underrated of a lineman as you're going to get is going to be Tucker Reinhardt. Not only do I love the name as well, too. Sounds like a great offensive, defensive lineman name. But you just talk about a kid that, you know, doesn't get a lot of airplay per se. And I love his game, love watching him play, and the return of Isaac Walker. You need some of those pieces to establish, to get those building blocks to move on. And as we'd said, you know, with Northwest, you see that cycle. Grandview said the same thing, and you're going to hear the same thing later on with Coach Zaharsky from Hillsboro. But I think a lot of that, though, this isn't something, though, that, like, when they got to, say, week 10, they're like, hey, did you see how many people were graduating, like, this year? And you're seeing this 2-3 years down the road and trying to plan and adjust accordingly for it. So I think when you look at Coach Kimenow, you look at Coach Gerling, and you look at Coach Zaharsky, you're going to have to see how they adapt, respond, change to these what I call graduating cycles. And we were talking about Crystal only outfitting 14, 15 kids. Same issue with Grandview. And as rumor has it, last week of the season is going to be Grandview Crystal City. I would be surprised if that game even gets played, because it's going to be who is still standing. These teams might be just gassed by week 6. Again, with only 14, 15 kids playing every side of the ball, special teams, you're going to be fit to be tied to be able to get a complete season, but we'll see how it goes, especially with this heat and weather lately. It's going to dip into their gas tank. So it's going to be a real good job by Coach Kimenow and these other coaches with the small rosters to see how they can adapt and change and plow through. And speaking of plowing through, we have the Herculaneum head coach. That's going to be Blaine Boss coming up.
We're here with Coach Blaine Boss here. Just wanted to catch up with you and ask how camp went this summer.
I think it went pretty well. Had probably the best numbers I've had since we've been here. I think, it's been right around 50 and maybe a hair over, so I'm pretty pleased with that. But I think it's went well because being here now, kind of being established offensively, we kind of know what we're doing by now, have that in already, so we're kind of able to build on it. I don't know. You hope the offense can, because I'm more of an offensive guy, would be pretty dominant for us, and I think that would help your defense as well, being able to put up a lot of points. I think that could be a definite boost to your defense. But defensively, I think, with what we do, our kids are so confident with it that I think that could be a plus side for us too. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And obviously, as a coach, you want them both working well, so that's the plan. We've had a lot of guys doing good stuff for us. I think Braden Mattingly, he's going to be a senior for us. He played not every game last year, but he was out quite a bit, kind of banged up, and I look forward to him being healthy and seeing what he can really do. He's one of those guys. He's a leader for us, and he works extremely hard in the weight room, conditioning. He's always at the top of the line, and excited to see what he can do because he's an explosive kid for us. Keaton Reeves is another kid. He's been our quarterback. He was a sophomore last year, so I'm just looking to see if getting that year under his belt, he can make that next step and be a heck of a player for us. But, there's a lot of guys. I could go on, and I hate to not say everybody's name, but those guys have really kind of stuck out. Another guy that we're looking to see if he can be the next kind of big inside backer for us is Luke Bryce. We've kind of been fortunate to have a guy that can go sideline to sideline for us with Mikey Maloney in years past, and we had Damian Light last year, Cody Gibson a couple years ago as well. We've kind of been fortunate to have that guy, and it's like, who's going to be the next one of those guys? So we're kind of looking at Luke. Is he going to be that guy? And we're hoping he can because he's got the tools to do that. So, looking at our schedule, I'm not going to sugarcoat. We have some games that I think we need to win. There's a lot of games on schedule. There's no excuses. We need to win games. And, that's not what it's all about. But there's a lot of things we have that I've talked to these kids. They know. We want to be in great shape. Want to be great people off the field, on the field. Want to be just relentless. Want to be nonstop till that final whistle on Friday nights. So I think if we do those things and do the things we've talked to them about, I think the rest of the stuff will fall in place.
And with the Herculaneum Black Cats preview, the heart of Herculaneum, Matthew Bates.
There you go.
And before we start, Ray, this was Black Cat Matt before Matt Lichtenstein was Black Cat Matt right here.
Look at that.
Number 53 in your program, number 1 in your heart.
That's right.
Actually, when you could have knocked me over with a feather because I completely forgot what their record was last year at 5-6.
5-6.
With the injuries they had at every position, every game, Jeff, that we were talking about. It was like, I mean, they started week 1 with their quarterback hurt.
Right.
And then by week 2, they were on quarterback number 3 in their depth chart, which, again, this is a Class 2 Herky team where you're not afforded the luxury of like a Class 6 Seckman where you could have at any time like 5 deep at one position. But it seemed like week in, week out, Coach Boss was – every interview, it was just like, well, we just got to figure out how to cut, paste, put everybody back together, tape it up so we can at least just outfit a team and not basically have to be starting our JV varsity team. And that was for our varsity team, but that was essentially almost like the point they were at. So to pull out a 5-6 record last year, I thought, given the injuries at every position they had, it was a great job by Coach Boss. But I think this year, though, you lose a Shea Eberhardt, you lose like a Demian Light. You have your Anthony Galinas, Mac Waddles, who, I mean, you know, he might have to fill in at quarterback if they get that far as well, too. But Mattingly will be back there running the show. But I think it's going to be, you know, when you look at their record and you look at this year, play healthy, what does that look like? Because I would have to say that would be, I'm not going to say makes the coaching any easier, but when you look at how decimated they got last year, you feel like you're almost cheated a year.
Well, I tell you, I don't know if in his background or history if he's ever made shoes before, because Coach Boss knows how to cobble things together. And he cobbled together that lineup and kept it together last season, and kudos to him because it wasn't just injuries, it was key injuries that they experienced. A couple of wild cards for Herky this year that I want to talk about. First of all, the brand new turf. They're one of several tools in the area to get turf. Herculaneum, this is their first experience with turf, going from grass. It looks beautiful over there. In my opinion, it's one of the best small town atmospheres now with the turf and the colors and everything that you'll find in Jefferson County. And I highly recommend catching a game over there for that reason. I expect them to have a little motivation and a little bump from that. It's something that the community has rallied around and is positive for, and I think they're going to get a little bump from that. I really do. Let's see if it gives the fans renewed momentum, you know, heading through the season as well. The other wild card I want to talk about is Tanner Duncan. Tanner Duncan,
T-Dunk.
Great baseball player, great basketball player. His older brother Jordan, great baseball player, great basketball player, also played football until he was injured. Mm-hmm. Tanner Duncan now has decided to come out this year and be a part of this Black Cat football team. And what Tanner Duncan may bring to the table is a wild card. He definitely has a little more length than some of those guys. Definitely has speed. I don't know what position they're working him out yet, but I can see him as a slot receiver.
I was going to say the athleticism will play wherever I think you put him at. You look at a guy like a Nate Breeze that graduated. Right. I think you could have put him anywhere on the field. He would have been successful, and I think you see the same thing there with T-Dunk.
Exactly. I think, you know, Dunk might not be as long as Nate, but he certainly fits that receiver role, the DB role. He's got the athleticism. He has the speed, and I think that gives Coach Boss a whole new dynamic in that offense, especially if he can get a quarterback who can get the ball to Duncan and let him create and gain yardage in space after the catch. So I'm really, really excited and interested to see what they're going to do this year. I think that they could create some problems in this conference. And they'll host Windsor again this Friday night. I think this is the 4th year now. So who was calling that game? We're having that game on the air, right?
That will be myself and Drake Beekman.
The Drake.
The Beak.
The Beak will be on that game.
Yes.
But, yeah, Herculaneum could surprise some people this year. But they're going to have to get through Jefferson. And we've got an interview with Jefferson Blue Jay head coach Matt Atlee coming up next.
Ray Halbrook here from Livestream STL. We are with Coach Matt Atlee from the Jefferson Blue Jays. How's it going, Coach?
Good. How are you?
Wanted to ask you how camp went this summer.
No, I mean, we got a good turnout. We got almost 50 kids, which a school our size is pretty good. You know, we have some decent returners for us. So, I mean, overall, it's a lot to be happy about. New faces, obviously, is a big one from the coaching staff and from new kids coming out, obviously. I mean, outside of that, we're just going to continue doing what we do best and playing Jefferson Blue Jay football to the best of our ability. You know, I think that we have a lot of good skill on both sides of the ball. I think our defense has a lot of good pieces in place that could almost be better than last year, which is hard to say because we had some big pieces to replace on that defense. You know, I know we got a new player at quarterback this year, having to replace Cole Williams, who is almost a 2,500-yard all-purpose quarterback, which is hard to do and a tall task. But I'd say if I had to pick one, I'd say maybe defensively. Carson Hafner, I think, has had a good camp across the board and just a overall great couple years. He played a little quarterback for us as a sophomore, and then he was our leading yardage getter up until about week 2 last year when he got an injury. He's came out strong this year. Cooper Frisk has taken on a bigger role in our offense and has done some really good things for us, just to name a couple. And then up front, Aiden Allen on both sides of the ball has done a great job. Aiden Dowd has been a good leader for us, as well as Jake Watkins from the linebacker spot. So, I mean, just to name about 4 or 5, those are some of the kids that, you know, we really expect a lot out of. We want to be the best version of ourselves each day. We don't define success with wins and losses. We define success as how we act inside and outside of these lines on the football field. And, you know, that's what we're going to continue doing and continue focusing on. And I think if we work on playing with great effort, doing it as a team, and doing it for the community, we're going to be just fine.
Mr. Blue Tiger Media, you have the Jefferson Blue Jays.
We have the Jefferson Blue Jays, an 8-3 record last year. They were the JCA I-55 Conference Small Schools champion, pardon me. They lost to Lift for Life in the championship game. Who didn't Lift for Life?
Right.
Now, they lost 13 players to graduation, which is a lot for a small school, including 9 starters. And they've got some big holes to fill. Nate Breeze isn't there anymore. Quarterback Cole Williams isn't there anymore. Now, they'll open the season on the road at Priory this Saturday. That game's been moved to 10 a.m. to try to avoid, I guess, some of the heat and the wonderful humidity we have now. But so this is kind of like a Twin City Youth Football League start time for this high school game, guys. They've got some key replacements, as you mentioned, Cooper Frisk, Carson Hafner. Those guys can do a lot of different things for the offense. They can catch passes, they can throw passes, they can run the ball from the backfield. And I would be surprised if you didn't see those guys in multiple roles in different positions. You might even see some Wildcats this year with those guys. You've got also some guys that Coach mentioned, Aiden Allen. He is a rock, an anchor in the middle of that line. He's one of the strongest players in the county. And you've got Jacob Brunts did a solid job at linebacker last year. The Crater brothers, those guys are a little undersized, but they're animals. They're strong on defense. And to me, the wild card will be Aiden Ussery, the younger brother of Sean Ussery, who played fullback and middle linebacker for the Blue Jays and did a great job. Aiden, very athletic, and interesting to see how he can do this year. I'm sure he will be a big hand on both sides of the ball. Now, the O and D lines have a lot of returners, and that should be a strength of the team. You know, it's more replacing the special skill position guys. But I'm looking forward to another good but yet very interesting season for the Blue Jays, Matt.
This was a team that went 7-0, but then in the last 4 games went 1-3. And so you kind of have to just raise an eyebrow to that a little bit, that for a team that started off like gangbusters, and again, as Coach Matt Atlee said, it's not about wins and losses, but that does just kind of pique your interest just a touch. And again, having 50-plus kids coming out, that's great to see. Yes, this was a game that their week 1 went from a Saturday 1 p.m. game against Priory. Now it's moved back to 10 a.m. because of the weather. And I got to tell you, for a week 1 game to have this many different nuances now you're starting the season at 10 a.m. Like it was one thing whenever you had playoff games and other Saturday games that had your regular, like say 1 p.m. kickoff. where now you're barely going to be able to have breakfast of any sort to even just, by noon be ready to go. That you got to be ready to rock and roll and up at Priory by 10 a.m. So your morning is going to start quick on a Saturday at around probably 5, 6 a.m. and you're heading north. So nobody is going to, again, be sending Coach Atley any sympathy cards for this week 1 game. But then you look at, after you get week 2 and 3, week 4 is our home opener against Cuba, the newest member of the Quad City Conference. Now the Pius is out of there. So we will see as we move on through the year, but we got to step aside for a break. Mr. Hallbrook, take us.
We'll be right back. This is the Main Street Sports Football Preview. We'll be right back. Hey, Ray Halbrook here with Livestream STL Media. We want to let you know Friday Night Blitz is on its way very shortly here, starting this Friday night. But we want to let you know about something after Friday Night Blitz is over with, and that is our Friday Night Blitz post-game, where we will jump back here in the studio and we will catch up with some of the coaches here post-game, and they'll be dialing in, talking to us from time to time. So we want to invite you to be around 10 o'clock every Friday night, starting this Friday, and we'll have plenty of post-game interviews and after game commentary from coaches. We'll have some of our commentators chime in with us as well. So we hope you enjoy and are able to tune in at 10 o'clock again for the Friday Night Blitz post-game show here on Livestream STL. We'll see you at 10 o'clock. And we're back. We're about ready to do the large schools. We got 4 more left. We're here at Case and Bucks. I want to thank the folks over here at Case and Bucks. Great food, great atmosphere. Getting ready to start to do some karaoke. No, it's
trivia night.
Trivia night tonight. Yeah, that's what it is tonight. They got a ton
Wings,
of things
burgers,
going on.
Salads like
you wouldn't believe. There you go. There you have it. So come check them out over here at Case and Bucks. But we're going to get into the large schools here, and we're going to start with the DeSoto Dragons, and here they are. Here with Coach Russ Schmidt from the DeSoto Dragons. Coach, tell us a little bit about how camp went this summer.
It was a productive camp, much more productive. We kind of talked before we went on the air. We hope to become a better version of ourselves than we were last year. And, I had an opportunity to have a full year with my staff in an off season, where last year I had a month or less than a month to get ready for a football season. So it was as much coaching kids and coaches as it was anything else. And this year, we really got a deep dive into what we wanted to do philosophically, and the staff buy-in and the kid buy-in in the offseason has been tremendous. So we had and it rolled into a really good camp for us. The one thing we're trying to improve daily is our football IQ. It was low last year. It's gotten better, and until we can improve that football IQ, you really can't expand your playbook. So we're going to keep it simple for the kids so the kids can play fast. I think the maturity of our quarterback, Austin Missy, is a leader, and his throwing. We got involved in 7-on-7 this summer, something we haven't done in several years here. So that was a blessing for our kids because while they were doing that, we worked with the offensive linemen here. So it was a double-edged sword. We really needed to improve our offensive line play. So while the skill kids were up there at Windsor, we had our linemen here, and Owen Williams and Eli Hessler and Colin Barton and James Allen, the interior 4 guys, they've really put in the work in the off season, and we expect some big things from them. I would think we're just because we're a little bit more caught up to speed. It's probably both sides of the ball. I mean, I don't know offensively until we get into that jamboree Friday night, because we left a sour taste in our mouth at the end of last season over at Festus, and it's one of those things where we were against the time crunch trying to get stuff installed and just willy-nilly. So we're much more sounder offensively than we were this time last year. But that having been said, we're the same way defensively because we stumbled upon some things during practice getting ready for districts that was working very well for us in preparing our kids. So we wanted to make sure we're mindful to use that as we move forward here in the fall. So, it's like everyone else. Let's get to week 1 and see what that dominant side of the ball looks like. Well, I use the word become a better version of ourselves than we were last year. People in the community are wanting to talk about wins and losses. These kids here know what the expectations are. They understand we understand as coaches the high level of frustration with the lack of opportunity this program's had. So our schedule's much different than it was this time last year, but that having been said, we still have to go out and play fundamentally sound football, which we had a very hard time doing. It goes back to our football IQ. If we can continue to improve that IQ and continue to improve our effort, then I think the outcome on the wins and losses will improve itself as well.
Matt Bates, you have the DeSoto Dragons.
I love me some Coach Schmidt, the football IQ, and I know he might have said that 2-3 times during that interview, but I think, the message is being sent. The community, there is something to be said about that when your community's behind you, your fans are wanting to start to get behind you. That speaks well for a program that's been 1-9, 0-10, 1-9, 2-8, where trying to get off the schneid, and I want to use the term like being relevant again. And I think that's what Coach Schmidt is looking to have done, that no matter, I think, wherever you talk about it, it's going to start with the coach, his involvement, and I think he's like the only AD that's also a head coach as well, too. But he is going to live, die. Like, if you cut him right now, I'm sure he bleeds green. And that's how involved and how in-depth that Russ Schmidt is with this program. You see some of the keys, some of the losses, as every team sees. Austin Missy is going to be – the quarterback position is going to come under scrutiny everywhere you go to. But last year he was only a 24% completion passer, Jeff.
Right.
21 of 79. Now, I don't know if something magical is going to happen from last year to this year to where his accuracy is all of a sudden just going to be a lot better. But hopefully he might have some taller targets. I know he's going to have Joey Escobar back, and Connor Siebert's going to be a part of that as well, too. But when you look at your leading point scorer last year was Eli Tebow at 24 points. That was only 6 touchdowns.
Right.
I mean, four touchdowns, I'm sorry. 24 points. He's going to be healthy. Can he stay healthy? But I think if running the ball is the approach you're going to take, I'm not so sure. I mean, if Missy's going to get the reps, can he hit the targets? So how much out in the flat work are you going to do before you look to throw a deep ball? Because 21 of 79 is going to be some tough sledding to try to recoup.
I think Coach did a couple of very smart things. The Soto joined the 7-on-7 program this summer, and I think that their skill position players will benefit from that. But as he said, that allowed them to work with this line. You talked about the completion rate for Missy last season. So much of that was because the line was allowing pressure and allowing very instantaneous pressure on the quarterback. He had to get rid of that ball or do something with it really quickly. And I think this allowed them to really focus on the line while the other guys were doing their 7-on-7, and I'm hoping that that's going to help them in the long run. Coach talked about they're going to keep the offensive scheme simple, and they're going to try to be fast and play at a fast pace. And I think that those things play into what strengths the Dragons have right now. Coach Schmidt has got the buy-in from the players, and he's starting to get the buy-in from the community. It's all about managing the expectations, as he said, of where this football team is right now and what they can be. And being that best version of themselves maybe means they win 3 games this year, they win 4 games this year. But if he get the community and the administration on board like he's got the players, they will be in good shape as they open up the season at home this Friday night against Freeburg.
Do you think they can be a spoiler since they haven't won a conference game since 2019? I think if you're Russ Schmidt, that's what you're wanting to be. You're wanting to be a thorn, a pest, to where, again, being relevant once again.
And it only takes that one big game, that one big effort to start building the confidence in these young men.
Speaking of confidence, Mr. Ray, we've got confidence in the new coach over at Windsor.
There we go, and this is the Windsor Owl preview. All right, we're here with Coach Lee Freeman from the Windsor Owls here, and we're just catching up with you on how camp went this summer.
Well, we had a pretty good camp, I think. Obviously a lot of new things for everybody, coaches included. So just taking it a step at a time and making sure everybody's on the same page. But as far as kids are concerned, saw a lot of progress, saw some promise. So, I think the main thing for us is that we stay healthy. And, I think that's probably true for a lot of teams. But for us, I think it's significantly important. No, we're still going to be a run-first team. We're going to try to play as physical defense as we possibly can. Try to keep people off guard a little bit. But other than that, a lot of the same things. There's, we're just new kids and, new coaches and, new colors. You always hope for that your defense is going to play well and keep you in games. But I think we have, the ability on both sides of the ball to be consistent. And, that's what we'll be looking for as far as we're concerned, just consistency on both sides and keeping other offenses off the field as much as possible. So that's where our offense will come in, and we'll take it from there. We had a lot of guys make a lot of progress this camp. One that sticks out to me is Logan Wilson, who's going to play running back and linebacker for us. Willie Coleman, who's going to play some DB and running back for us. Jack Heath, he's a lineman for us. I thought he had a really good summer, really good effort, pays attention, smart guy. And then we have two more offensive linemen, Evan Wessels and Gannon Duranja. Those guys have had pretty decent camps. We need to work on our physicality across the board right now and our explosiveness, but from what I've seen, I think they're capable. We just need more reps and more time. Well, obviously we want to have fun. The kids need to have a positive experience. We need to make sure that we're focused on the Windsor Owls every week and not everybody else and everything else that's going on around us. And we need to make sure that we're prepared from a game plan standpoint. As far as coaches are concerned, we need to make sure that we're on the right page. And then, we're looking for improvement every week. So, you want to be playing your best football around week 9, 10, 11, 12. So if we can do that, then, mission accomplished.
Jeff Whitener, you've got the Windsor Owls.
I do indeed. And who wants to hear about the Windsor Owls?
Who? We all do, Jeff.
Had a 2023 record of 4-6. They lost 21 players to graduation, including 2 all-district players in A.J. Patrick, the running back, defensive back, and defensive end Riley Weisner. Returning is senior all-district player, a big defensive end, one of Matt's favorites, 6'4", 270 Evan Wessels. He's a big load there on the line. First year for Coach Lee Freeman. He's come back. He got bitten by the coaching bug again, and when Coach Funston stepped down, he was able to come in and work with the Owls now. I'm sure they're going to be a run-first team with what the type of offense Lee Freeman likes to run. They're hoping to build some depth in the program as well, get some more numbers going, and it's also strength, overall strength for the team, get them in the weight room, especially on the offensive and defensive line. And Windsor opens, as we mentioned, at Herculaneum, another chance for them to get a possible early win. But obviously Herky's going to have say something about that, Matt.
Well, the Windsor Owls, I had done a number of their games last year, and I want to first say, a shout out to Coach Funston and the job he did in 30 games, win 11-19 for that program. And again, I will use the same term, relevant or relevancy. I think he did that quite well in the area to keep the program relevant. But it's a matter of now, how do you take that talent? And again, another one coming in on the line, Gannon Duranja. You have Logan Wilson, Luke Patterson, and you have WC3, Willie Coleman III coming back. So, I mean, you got a core, you got a good group coming back in. And I think that's what Coach Freeman is seeing right now. And you talk about bringing in somebody with some heft. This isn't just like you went out on the street and made a hire. This was a guy that's got some street cred to his name. 2014-19 out at Hillsboro, Class 4 District 1 champ in 2017. So, I mean, this isn't just like, well, what have you done, Coach? Have you been there? that this guy, again, has some street cred coming in to where, you know, if I tell you that this is something I have seen that has worked, this has worked, and you can rebut with, well, this was at another program, but, you know, but I've been a winner where I've been at. So I think to breed some of that in now to where some of those players that might have a little bit of self-doubt, you know, you got a coach now like that is looking to invest and spend some time there. Like I know Coach Schmidt down there at DeSoto has got the street cred to go with his credentials as well too, to where these players they've got a little bit more of a buy-in factor of instead of just like, oh, well, this is just some new guy coming in here and I'm gonna have to listen to his spiel. Some of these kids might have heard even from their parents that have been through some of the circles with them, like, hey, Jeff, this guy's legit, or, you know, you need to listen to what Coach Freeman says as opposed to, yeah, I don't know about this guy either. I don't know what he has to say.
Right. Their pedigree allows them to kind of get a jump on things when they come to the new program like that. And you said they are well respected in our area. So looking for big things from Windsor and Lee Freeman. But we're also looking for very big things from Coach Ofadale and the Festus Tigers, right?
We are here with Coach A.J. Ofadale. Coach, how has camp been this summer?
It's been great. You know, this time of year, it's always kind of there's a little bit of a duality to it. Like on one level, you're excited to be back into football. You know, you need a lot of work and a lot of development. At the same time, you're also kind of crossing your fingers and holding your breath to make sure everybody stays healthy. And there's always that balance that you're trying to find between, you know, the right amount of work and the right amount of physicality. You know, I don't know. I'm kind of a creature of habit. I don't know. We'll always try to tweak some things and improve and try to innovate. And we evaluate everything we do from top to bottom, whether it be weight room, speed development, you know, what we're doing schematically, how we go about doing it. You know, and every year, and the fun part about, you know, some of the people that we play, we get a chance to play against great programs, really good coaches, and any flaws that you have, they're going to find them and they're going to expose them, especially when they're teams that you play multiple times in a year. Hopefully we're pretty decent on both sides of the ball. You obviously need to be, and, you know, we've upgraded our schedule pretty significantly with some of our non-conference opponents. And our conference as a whole, when you look at everybody involved and where their programs are and the direction they're heading, whether it be from a experience standpoint, you know, teams that previously had younger players are now not so young anymore. Teams with new coaches that are, you know, going to elevate the overall standing of the programs that they're in. And then, you know, we obviously, with Hillsborough as a rival who's, you know, won probably 35-plus games in the last 3 years and, you know, really had our number, you know, our conference alone is going to be much improved again. You know, Mason Shermer, who was an all-state player for us a year ago, has really done a fantastic job of really rededicating himself to weight room, to nutrition, to speed development. He played at probably about 245 a year ago. He's in the 220, 225 realm. So he goes from a guy defensively who was a classic Mike linebacker, tackle-to-tackle, run-plug kind of guy, you know, as physical as anybody in our area, to a guy who can now play sideline to sideline, play in space, and he's still just as physical, and he's stronger than he was a year ago. So, and it also gives us the opportunity to use him on offense some as a ball carrier because of how he's improved himself athletically. And with the loss of Hayden Bates, adding another bigger body like that to carry the football is always an advantage. You know, our other guys are kind of more the traditional running back size at this level, and although they're really good players, adding that bigger body in is big time. And then another guy who was a good player for us a year ago, played well enough to garner some FCS offers, Trey Lacey, is basically another guy that's a completely different person physically right now. Had a fantastic offseason in the weight room. To me, the goals are a little bit more process-oriented. Like, what is our effort like on a daily basis? Something maybe a little bit harder to measure. It's a little more subjective, but can we go in and can we practice? And what I kind of look at, does our practice feel like a college practice today?
And Matt Bates, we have you for the Festus Tigers.
It will be Festus 8-4 last year with that loss to Hillsborough, the 29-28 that I think everybody is still talking about. And I think in that interview with Coach Ofadale, there was still that bad taste of you were up 28-0, and then when the final horn goes off, you're going back home. losing 29-28. That heartbreaker, that's going to stick with you. You look, though, Coach Afadale, his fourth year, he's 30-17. Some people talk about, like, hurdles that they have to face and things we need to get through, maybe like a quarterback situation. Hillsboro is his bugaboo. That's what Coach Afadale right now, the thing in his way, the hurdle in front of him is Hillsboro. How do we as a program, a team, get over this thing that's called Hillsboro? Because right now that's the thing that is just really separating them from taking that next step in not only in the conference but farther through state. Because on the Festus side, I can't talk about any other programs until I get past Hillsboro. It's like their ending, stopping point, talking point. And I'll let you discuss and go over, key losses, one of them being my cousin Hayden. But I think right now that the biggest thing for any of the coaches right now, if you're in a conference with Hillsboro, it's like, how do you get past them to talk about any other narrative, Jeff?
Well, Matt, I liken that to any great rivalry. And believe me, the rivalry between Festus and Hillsboro is real, and it can get pretty vicious. And like any great rivalry in college sport, was Michigan, Ohio State, some of the SEC schools, you could have a subpar season, but if you beat your rival, that's almost considered a success. So it's one of those deals where Coach Afadale, he's done a great job building the program, building the weight room for these guys, building the Tiger program up. But as you mentioned, he's got to get over that hurdle. And this year he's going to have to do it with, he's lost 19 players, including all-state running back and tremendous leader, all-around athlete, Hayden Bates, your cousin, and several all-district players, including Jeremiah Cunningham, the quarterback. So you've got Mason Shermer back. We know what a great athlete he is and great linebacker, and he was a second-team All-Stater last year. You've got defensive back Jeremy Davis-Mays, Trey Lacey. Both of those guys are going to play important roles, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Will Essian Smith take the reign at quarterback this year as a senior? We'll have to see on that. Maybe Shermer will get some snaps at running back. So they've got that, as Coach mentioned, they've added and made a much tougher non-conference schedule this year. They've added a Class 5 and Class 6 to that schedule. And, of course, they're going to have Jackson and Farmington again, which always pose very stiff challenges for the program. They will host Rolla at home this Friday, so they want to get off on a good foot and try to build some momentum into the season if they are going to beat and overcome our next team on the list, Ray.
That's the Hillsboro. We're here with Coach Bill Saharsky from the Hillsboro Hawks. Coach, how's camp been?
It's been really good. So, we got some new stuff that we've installed and some new faces in some spots. And we've had, last week was a good week, and we've had another good start to this week. We always, add wrinkles. You look at, every year what you lose and what you have coming back, what kind of fits the kids you have coming back in terms of their abilities, and can be difference in sizes, or you have big running backs, small running backs, things like that. So it's just you evaluate the talent that comes that's coming up through the program and what kind of best fits those guys. A kid like Chris Duncan will be a senior running back. He's really good out of the backfield for us, has really good hands. So he's a kid that we want to get in space, and he battled some injuries last year, so didn't get to play as much as we'd have liked. But he's a weapon that we're gonna definitely get the ball to, and let him have a good senior year. It's a handful of guys. Obviously we get with Preston Brown coming back at quarterback. Aiden Rollins done a really good job at linebacker for us, we've returned some of those guys there. About 5 or 6 guys come back on defense, and that played quite a bit last year for us. Mason Boyer's a D lineman that played quite a bit, had a really good year for us. Colton Romaine back at outside linebacker, and Jackson Marks, another inside backer for us. Those guys have all done well. Our secondary is new, and those guys have, all done a pretty good job battling out. And, we got a pretty good rotational depth there. New on the O-line. We've lost 4 seniors up there, so that's a group that's got to kind of grow up, but they've done a pretty good job. 5 or 6 kids that Micah Bacher, Cole Osman are 2 seniors that started games last year for us, and Caden Romaine, Isaac Weibel, Logan Jarvis, William Crease done a good job, Landon Smith. Just a handful of guys. We got a good freshman lineman, Kyron Miller's done a good job on both sides of the ball for us, O-line and D-line. It's really hard to say. I like our speed on defense right now. Offensively, obviously having Preston back, a kid who's thrown for close to 2,500 yards and ran for over 1,000. So, if he can replicate those numbers, that'd be fantastic. So, we got some different weapons on the offensive side that guys kind of have had to wait their turn. We have Keaton Pipkins coming back at receiver, but other kids have had a good or a good summer off season. Ian Phillips is another senior, Carter Stevenson, those guys. Austin Ross is a sophomore receiver for us. He's done a real good job all off season. So those are guys that will get the ball thrown to him. New tight end Carson Campbell. He's kind of a hybrid tight end receiver. He's we haven't had a 6'2", 6'3" tight end in a while, and he's kind of one of those guys that we can play at receiver and tight end. So. There's weapons there. Aiden Rowland got some carries last year, but obviously had to play behind Peyton Brown. So we expect a big season out of Aiden this year at the running back spot. So. We really don't ever talk about individual goals with our guys. It's more, the steps. Our goals every year is to compete for the conference championship and compete for a district. And we preach, being fresh and staying healthy, and that's why we really harp on our kids about the off season. And one of our goals, it may sound funny, it's because it's not a win or loss goal. It's be healthy week 10. Because if we can be healthy week 10 and we're a better football team by week 10, then you give yourself a shot in the playoffs and to go as far as you can.
And Jeff Whitener, you're going to wrap us up here with the Hillsboro Hawks.
We're going to take it home with Hillsboro here, fellas. All Hillsboro did last year was compile a 12-2 record, and they were district champions for the second straight season, and they managed to find themselves in the state championship game of Class 4 before losing to Kearney this year. So they've tasted some success outside of just a district championship, which we don't get a lot here in Jefferson County, to be honest with you. Lost 14 players to graduation, including all staters. There's some kid who plays for SEMO now. I think his name is Brown. Shout out to Mrs. Brown, friend of the show, by the way.
Hey, no hating on Peyton.
No hating on Peyton, that's right. Old lineman Wyatt Phillips, and a great player, one of the smartest players I've seen in a while, in Chase Sikarsky.
Peyton did all right.
Peyton did okay.
He did all right.
He had like
three
touchdowns, something like that. Yeah.
We weren't watching or anything, so just saying.
Returning his All-State quarterback, Preston Brown, and I believe he is getting some offers as well. You also have all-district players in Keaton Pipkins and wide receiver, defensive lineman Mason Boyer, and offensive lineman Micah Bacher. I really think that the offensive and defensive lines, even with the loss of Wyatt Phillips, are going to be in really good shape for Hillsboro. And Matt, that's 75% of any battle, especially on offense. You got those guys. Coach can go out at Hillsboro and he can start plugging in some people into that background and to that backfield to plug in with Preston Brown, and their offense should be okay. I'm more concerned a little bit about their defense. Offense, they rolled up 43 points per game last year. Defense, they were right around 21 points. I have a little more concerns about the defense this year, but, man, starting right out of the blocks this Friday night at home, they've got MICDS coming in, and the Rams are big and physical and fast, and it's going to be a heck of a test for the Hawks.
Yours truly will be on the call for that on this Friday night as the last year's 9-3 Class 5 MICDS Rams, they come down to take on the Hillsboro Hawks. And I got to tell you right now, though, this is going to be a punch right in a kisser, right in week 1. Because in week 2, then you got to go to SLU. And then in week 3, you're back home to face Class 5 Washington. So, I mean, right out of the box, 1, 2, 3, it's like gut punch, shot to the kidneys, and one, right to the chin. This is going to give Coach Saharsky a run for his money. Finding a replacement for your kicker, Nick Marchetti, as well, too. Because when you look around some of your Jefferson County schools, not a lot of them are well-bred on the field goal attempts.
Exactly.
Where you had a kid that could at least kick a 30-plus yarder, but all the other extra point attempts this young man had over his career as well, too. You just don't find kickers by the dozen as well, too. Just not to lose sleep on that one. But now you have one half of the PB sandwich left in Preston running the helm, who right now has got a commitment to North Dakota State. It's going to be interesting to see how he responds now to having 4 new linemen up front as well, too. And I know that's something you and we love talking about, our beloved line partners. But when you got to replace 4 of them, though, Jeff, that, from the quarterback, I'm looking at, okay, how much protection am I going to have? I mean, I know I got Bacher. And I know I got one or two more, but then it's just like, how much of my own research do I have in the depth and the comfort level of when I go to drop back? I got 4 new faces I've got to try to figure out those parts in, as opposed to like last year when I dropped back, I had my full confidence, full trust up front, and now I got to rethink things, maybe.
Right. Well, and Matt, I think their offensive line is going to be good. However, with those 4 new faces, it takes practice to start working together as a unit on the offensive line. But you also can't discount the game experience as far as learning how to work together. And right out of the gate, they've got some major challenges because the defensive line for MICDS is going to be bigger, almost to a man, right across the board, and heavier. So a big early test for these. Yeah, I think they'll be fine in the long run, but they're going to get a baptism of fire.
Well, that was what I was alluding to, is that like right off week 1 against MICDS, they have at least 8 returners back on their defense starting. So again, when I'm kind of putting a patchwork offensive line together, and if you and I we're just trying to get our stuff together through camp, and then we kick off week 1 against a team that's been solidified for at least 3 years plus, we're going to have a tall task at hand for us. Not saying we can't overcome it. I'm just saying that's a big week 1 punch that we're going to have to try to absorb.
Well, folks, there you have it. And we wrap things up here for the Main Street Sports pregame or preview for football. Before we get out of here, a couple of things. This Friday Night Blitz starts. Windsor will be at Herculaneum. That'll be a 7 o'clock start. Scott Lotta and myself over there at Herculaneum, the brand new field there. And then Matt will be with Brian Kaplinger, for the MICDS Hillsboro game. So tune in, and we'll tell you also new places to tune in here. If you haven't checked it out since the summer, we've migrated most of our stuff off of the social medias because we have a brand new website and a brand new Roku channel. So if you haven't done so, download the Livestream STL app on Roku. And also, if you haven't done so, check out our website, livestreamstl.tv. Lots of cool stuff coming up here. Football, softball, volleyball, soccer, all across the board. So check it out. We'll have our schedules broke up and updated on a weekly basis on our Facebook page. So check that out. But and then our final thing after Friday Night Blitz, we have the Friday Night Blitz post-game show. We're going to be taking out. I'm going to be leaving about the beginning of the 4th quarter of our game, heading home to catch up for the post-game show. We're going to have coaches. We're going to have post-game reactions from coaches. I think Matt's going to jump in with me, and Drake, and maybe even Jeff as well. So we would love to have you come in and tune in. Again, that will be on socials and our website and Roku. So that'll be everywhere. But fun night day. Fun day.
The following Monday, what's going to happen, Ray?
What's going to happen? Oh, yes. We have. Let me see if I can find it. I don't have it, but it's okay. Upon further review. That's what it is. Upon further review. That will be, we're going to record Monday. We're either going to have that Monday night or sometime Tuesday night. It depends on how quick we can get things going there. So, again, upon further review, and we'll have all that post-game stuff regurgitated, so to speak. We'll have plenty to talk about. So, for Ray Halbrook, for Brian.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm Brian Kaplinger.
No. Who's on first?
I'm Drake Beekman.
You're Scott Lotta.
Scott Lotta and then don't forget Eli will be with us, and Elijah. Eli and Elijah's show. That'll be a fun one there.
But that's Jeff Whitener.
For Ray Halbrook, for Jeff Whitener, for Matt Bates, all of us here at Livestream STL. Thank you so much for watching Friday Night Blitz post game. Not the Friday Night Blitz post game, but the Main Street Sports football preview. We'll see you Monday night, Friday night, sometime. It's actually Friday night for Friday Night Blitz. Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.